Welcome back to the Jay Ravato Show. And do we have a show for you today? Do we? Okay, so on today's episode, we're going to be talking about Minneapolis, but not in particular just Minneapolis. We're going to be talking about this movie that they're creating nationwide with the anti-ICE protesters. These anti-ICE protesters are making it look like a third world country. They're not only creating smoke and explosions and chaos, but they're claiming that this is a peaceful protest, and it's far from peaceful.
A second ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis sparking a massive riot after agitators harass, intimidate, and throw fireworks at immigration officials. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says the administration is ready to work with Minnesota leadership, but the ball is in their court.
This kind of violence is perpetuated by what we hear the governor saying, what we hear the mayor in Minneapolis saying, and their irresponsibility is extremely reckless. Governor Tim Walz has my phone number. I have called him and talked to him and said, listen, you let your city burn down in 2020. Don't do it again. President Trump wants to keep everybody safe. We're enforcing federal law. We're protecting every single American. Work with us.
That's the problem. See, Tim Walz wants his city to burn down. I don't know what the benefits are when his city burns down to a crisp. The Rite Aid's burning down where he can't get the medication. He's going to need some medication soon. We're going to go ahead and roll the clip. This is crazy.
Billy McEnany here with my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Emily Campagno. Also joining us, Kennedy, host of the Kennedy Saves the World podcast, and Griff Jenkins, Fox and Friends weekend co-host. Let's start here.
Okay. And also, I want to say something really quickly. The media, other than a couple of media news networks, the media they're not saying the right things to their supporters. They're not letting these people know that these are federal law enforcement agents and they're enforcing legitimate law.
Minneapolis's police chief said the crowd was engaging in unlawful acts. Rioters swarmed agents, shouted profanity, attacked their vehicles, smashed window shields, and threw sensitive documents into the streets. You see those images there.
Wow.
Vandals even broke into a federal vehicle and spray painted, quote, "The only good agent is a dead agent."
Wow.
As this video shows. Now, DHS recapped the incident that sparked the outrage. Federal law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted traffic stop of an illegal immigrant from Venezuela who was released into the country by the Biden administration. The subject attempted to evade arrest by driving away before crashing the car and fleeing on foot. And when the officer caught him, the perp resisted and violently attacked the officer. Then two others came out of a nearby apartment building to defend the Venezuelan, who started attacking the officer with a shovel or a broomstick. Now,
I want to know if they would do this to the police officers. It's enforcing the law that's already set. I don't understand it.
Many of these details left out of the media headlines. We'll show you those in a moment. And DHS says, fearing for his life, this officer fired a defensive shot to save his own life. After the incident, Democratic Governor Tim Walz confirmed state investigators have been on the scene in North Minneapolis before adding, "I know you're angry. I'm angry. What Donald Trump wants is violence in the streets, but Minnesota will remain an island of decency,
can't help it.
Of justice, of community, and of peace."
He can't
Don't
help but
give
blame
him
Donald
what
Trump.
he wants.
This is crazy.
Minneapolis's Democratic Mayor Jacob Frey had a similar message.
This guy is nuts.
It's not creating safety. It's certainly not creating safety when a huge percentage of the shootings that have taken place so far this year in Minneapolis.
The propaganda that these guys come up with, look at the guy in the background. The propaganda that these guys come up with, him including with this hair swoop and the open shirt with no tie, the propaganda that they come up with is just irreparable. I can't understand why would they come out with this propaganda to spew more hatred instead of denouncing the violence.
So let's be very clear. I've seen conduct from ICE that is disgusting and is intolerable.
Now, the mayor and the governor often, Griff, leave out the disgusting, inappropriate behavior of some of the protesters. You have a right to protest. You don't have a right to do what we've put on the screen. But I want to pull up some images, ransacked documents, and what you see is law enforcement information on the documents. It's blurred there. Protesters picking up the documents, carefully going through them.
Could you do that
This
to the
worries me
police?
because we've seen targets on that of ICE agents, attacks at the Dallas facility, a terrorist attack there, I would characterize that as.
Wow.
And here's personal information just strewn on the streets.
It's not just personal information, Kaylee. These are the A files, the alien files. Remember, the individuals that ICE is going after are illegal immigrants who committed crimes and then were released back into the community by state and local officials. So ICE has a federal duty, obligation to go and arrest them. And these files have who the individual is, the crimes they committed, the addresses they lived. They're highly sensitive. I rode around in Chicago for days during Midway Blitz with ICE, and we have the A files. And then, of course, you see another video where they're literally taking the weapons case out. And at the end of the day, you know, left out of Governor Walz's address was to let his fellow Minnesotans know that 18 U.S. Code 111 makes it a federal crime to obstruct, assault, or impede a federal investigation. And that is what these protesters are doing. He also left out a personal service announcement, which I'll make to Minnesotans today, which is if you attack federal law enforcement with snow shovels, you are likely going to be shot.
Exactly.
Because that is their training.
Expect to be shot.
It is beyond me that you are seeing the rule of law just disappear in Minnesota because the mayor and the governor are inciting this. You know, at the end of the day, you can't incite an arsonist and then ask him to be a fireman the next moment. And
clear point. What I want to say is the fact that they are inciting more violence, they should be arrested themselves. Tim Walz and Mayor Fry should be arrested. Pretty sure they know that they're doing this. It's visual. You can see now by the display in Minneapolis and nationwide that we don't look like America. We look like Iran. And what they're trying to do is now get Trump to bring the army in because maybe the ICE enforcement agents are not being taken serious enough.
Stay politically comfortable.
Well, if they don't do that, President Trump has made very clear what he is going to do. In a True Social tweet this morning, you can see this here. He said, if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE who are only trying to do their job, I will institute Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me. And then he goes on to say this, Emily, the Insurrection Act, the last time this was put into place was 1992, George H.W. Bush. And one of the ways you can use it is if you work with the governor. Right? Yes, and the governor was complicit in that case, working with the federal government. In this case, you have a resistant governor, but the president can invoke it when it's impractical to enforce federal law.
that is what we're starting to see now with Mayor Fry trying to dial it back.
Yeah, Governor Walz must have had a nice night of rest, nice night of sleep, because he woke up with an epiphany. He wants us to turn down the temperature, he says. But this is a far cry from what he said last night.
You are not helpless, and you are certainly not alone. All across Minnesota, people are learning about opportunities, not just to resist, but to help people who are in danger. And if you see these ICE agents in your neighborhood, take out that phone and hit record. Help us create a database of the atrocities against Minnesotans.
So should we resist, Harris, or turn down the temperature, as he said during your hour?
Well, look, I want to roll back the tape a little bit, and you set that up perfectly. Yes, he had a thought. But I think it was a phone call with the DHS secretary who said, look, I'm going to give you a number to reach me. I'm ready to do what we've always said we would do, and that is put fewer agents on the streets if you'll just work with us and not against us and put our people in danger. Like, she talked about that this morning, and within moments of this coming out, you knew exactly that's what had to happen. And you know who knew better? Governor Walz, because that was a shot across the bow. Look, the ball is in your court now. Are you going to save people's lives by doing the right thing and turning down the temperature? And, of course, now he's going to try to do that. Now, I don't know, because, look, Mayor Fry said this. The federal agents do not share the values of you and me, that the ones that we hold dear. He's still speaking like that. I think everybody's got to get on the same music now and sing the same song about take it down a temperature and stop vilifying people out there who are doing their jobs as ICE agents. That's not just the governor.
It could possibly be too late for them to turn down the temperature because, like I said before, this is not a movie. These are not actors. These are real ICE agents. These are real people that are enforcing the law, trying to make it safer in your community. Now, my problem is the lawmakers that minimize the crime and the violence in Minneapolis, which doesn't look like Minneapolis anymore. The fact that they minimize the violence and the crime in the city, it makes it look like they wanted this to happen. They're always going to go after whoever is with Donald Trump, including the ICE agents, maybe even the army. They're always going to go after them, including Donald Trump, just to say that they're fighting MAGA. This is becoming too much, and hopefully this is enough to stop the violence in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and nationwide.